A Way of Life is a coaching consultant company. We help people manage their career and business using astrology. Astrology is a holistic process that allows us to help people align with what they are passionate about. We provide the tools to build your personal development to live your best life. A Way of Life coaching consulting company. For a reading or coaching, call Keisha Reed at 781-602-0986. That's 781-602-0986. Or check our website, www.awayoflife.net. That's www.awayoflife.net. A Way of Life is a coaching consultant company. Live your best life.
Peace, 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 family. How's y'all doing? So I literally just did a live on IG, but I've been having mad downloads, so I wanted to come on here and just extend a little bit more the messages that have been coming up for me. And so I'm going to be doing a lot of repeat of what I just did on Instagram. So if you watched my Instagram, just bear with me because I'm gonna repeat a lot of everything that I just said, and but I'm gonna talk about the Aries season and not the actual Mars and Aries transit that I just did. So if you want to know more about Mars and Aries, definitely make sure you're following me on IG and check us out there. I'm often going on there to talk about things and just connect more with the people so that they can see me. But I did definitely want to come on here to talk a little bit more about Aries season in general. So before I get into that, I wanted to say thank you so much to all the people out there who have gotten a reading from me and who got repeat clients. I can't stress enough how important it is that it really allows me as an entrepreneur, as an astrologer, to challenge myself to do better, to sell my services better, to speak about them better, to advertise better. And I'm really, really grateful to have that opportunity with you. So thank you so much. I'm working on a post that's going to explain everything that I'm talking about right now, but I did definitely want to just make a video about it to talk a little bit more about how to best use my services. So a lot of the times people will start out getting a reading with a general reading, which is a great way to get to know me as a reader, find out my accuracy, and to connect in that kind of way. And that's great, but I wouldn't stop there. You can definitely, if you've gotten just a general reading, you can sign up to the Cosmic Connection group, which allows you to get a weekly reading that will keep you informed on what's going on with you in the here and now. It's also a really great way to learn your cycles. And how to heal through these cycles. It's like a checkpoint. That's what I like to call it when you get these weekly readings, because you'll know if what the horoscope says for you, if you're not aligning with that energy, then that means you still got work to do, and that's okay. And then I can give you some information even on how to do that and work through that energy to use it to the best of your ability. And if you're not interested in the Cosmic group, that's fine. You can get a follow-up reading either by getting a full moon or a new moon reading or a life path reading. That is really good at giving information on what's happening with you right now. And this time, and still another checkpoint. It's a lot fuller. It'll give you a lot more in-depth information. But yeah. So those are just some follow-up readings that you can get, but also any questions that you have. And you can sign up to my chat to do follow-up questions. It's a lot easier than getting a full reading. It might even save you some money because the chats are only $1.11 per chat. And if you call me and ask me a question, I'm going to give you an entire reading. And so I wanted to put that out there as an additional option on how to, use that to the best of your ability. So if anytime you have any questions, you can just send me a chat instead of sending me a DM to get an entire reading. And yeah, I'm also still waiting for my tarot cards. So I'm trying to think of a very strategic process, obviously, on how I'm going to present the tarot and advertise and sales and market for that. I got a few things written down. I really, really want this to be something like a checkpoint. So I really want to use the tarot as a way to leverage the astrology. They will not be separate. They'll be one and the same. And so understanding how to do that. So I'll probably give like smaller horoscope readings on what maybe for specifically a full moon or a new moon, and then do a reading to get more out more pieces of the story of how that could be playing out for folks. There's nothing written in stone yet, but I haven't got my cards yet anyways for me to play around with it enough to even say it. But then I have the dating app. I don't know if you remember, if you've been following me for a really long time, I did a live with Sophia and Val. And I mentioned that I was going to start to do a dating app. And so I've been able to really get down to the nitty gritty of what I want that to look like. What's it going to include and all that other stuff. And so now I just need to find somebody to do the actual app. So I'm trying to be in competition with eHarmony. And instead of using a lot of their personality tests, I'm obviously using astrology. And then as a Gemini, we like fun and games and interactive ways like icebreakers and things of that nature. So a creative way that I wanted to do that is 21 questions. And I don't know if anybody remembers Yahoo years ago. Yahoo used to have a online thing where you can play games with other people. And I think one specific game, at least the one that I remember, was puzzles, doing puzzles together with somebody else on the online. And so that will be incorporated in the app. Just fun ways to get to know each other instead of just talking and all that. So I really like eHarmony because I felt like it challenged people to really think about what it was they wanted and express that in a super creative way with those personality tests. So you'll get that from this app with the astrology, and maybe even having some astrology updates, but for the love pieces only, I think would be fun. And just really, again, challenging you to think more about what it is you want, and being able to connect with people who are connecting with that same message. One common place where you can come to find like-minded people. And those things are really detrimental to my heart right now. I've been an avid dating app dater for like a long time, and I'm not saying anything about it. It's just, I feel like we could do better. Those apps that are out there now, I feel like they're just easy access to somebody else. And it's like, I'm looking for more. And mine's obviously is going to be a lot more affordable. I think eHarmony is like a whole subscription. And I'm going to try to make that more affordable for people to still be able to have that real connection to people, but for an affordable price. So I'm also doing resumes now on Fiverr as a way of getting some additional income. I am really trying to quit my job. Like, that's my goal for the foreseeable future. Like, I do not want to work for anybody anymore. So that is going to put obviously a lot more time constraints on the readings and everything else that I got going on. So I'm really mentioning that more than anything to let people know what I got going on, so what to expect, what kind of time frame to expect if you do get a reading. I do have Serena, she's back. So my other reader who had took some time off, she did come back, and I'm excited to have her. But so, you can always go to her for a reading as well. Um, but, she's still only one person too. So I also have the other hotline that I'm on. I don't think I've ever really talked about it, nor have I advertised for it. I think I've posted some reviews on my social media about it before, but outside of that, I never talked about that. That's something that I do. So I'm on another hotline app. It's an actual app. Mine's is a line, a phone line, and in chat. So that's just another way to get in contact with me. But I'm often doing readings there. Right now, I'm only available via chat. Because as you can imagine, I really have a lot going on, and I want to be able to give my attention to those things, but also need to be bringing in some income. So that's a really nice way for that. I also believe that once I start tarot, I will have the ability to grow within this. So I can see myself getting really, really busy in a good way. Just again, a notification to let everybody know time frame. And I'm working on my workbook. I don't know if I mentioned this the last time I was on, but I have my workbook that I'm working on for the workshop. So it's going to have all the career videos, but I have all that written out. So everything, well, not everything. The videos are better because it allows me to elaborate on some of my stories. But for the basic stuff, that's all written out. I already have all the content, and I included a table of contents, and all the things that come in those first few pages of a book, and I also did those cards. They're not cards. That's not what they are. They're like little affirmations, I think, is a good way to. I see somebody on the chat. Let me check and make sure they're not leaving me messages. So they're like little affirmations, and they're based upon your placements in your birth chart. And so I posted one, I think, a few weeks ago now. It could have been, it was definitely last week. And I noticed that people didn't know how to use it. So I'll be doing a video showing you how to actually use that, but I'll have a few different ones of those in the book. And these are just a really fun way to come up with different ideas as to how you can use your to understand your life purpose. And so I have that one that I started, and I'm going to be working on doing a lot more of those in the future. And I believe I'm going to put them in the book, in the workbook. And there'll be spaces for your chart to fill out your chart. So it'll be an empty chart that'll allow you to fill out the placements throughout the class, so you know where to focus your energy. And you'll be able, you're going to kind of have to go back and forth between the information from the career stuff, but it'll all be worth it, because I really think this allows you to build up a mapping process for your goals and stuff throughout the workbook, and just in general. So if you don't want to participate in the workshop, that's fine. You can just buy the book and work through the book on your own, which is also conducive to my Learn Basic Astrology class that I have. And you can sign up for that and get my help throughout doing that. So it works both ways with both of my services that I offer. So if you know anybody who's interested in taking that Life Path class, which will give you, again, your life purpose, some mapping ideas on how to get there. So your cosmic blueprint using your birth chart, along with your a vision board. That'll be the final product. It's 2 weeks, nothing major. You will have some homework to do, so I'm not going to sell it to be easy. It can be very overwhelming and intensive, but it'll be worth it. If you're into that type of thing, or if you know anybody who's interested, please be sure to spread the word. The 15th is the last day. Um, mhm. And if you're not interested in the workbook or the workshop, you can definitely just get coaching. Um, and that's $80 a month. But typically, you wouldn't need that second month. I give a lot of information in that first month, and then you'll sign up to the chat. That again will allow you to ask questions at any given time about anything that we work on. And I think it's again just an easier way to allow me to respond back to you and you still get the answers that you need for whatever you're working on. The last thing I have is the call line and the chat feature. So I know that I've talked about this a long time ago. I don't know if I said it publicly, but it was definitely in my head about doing a like reaching out to more tarot readers and seeing if they'd be interested in coming in on the line. I don't even know if I want to put them on the website. Like the people who are on the young lady I have, Serena, that's on the website now. She's a keeper. That's my friend. We're like in this together. I love her, um, but I definitely do want to offer this line to other people who struggle with payment, because that was the reason why I initially came up with it, because I feel like it's harder to set up the PayPal and all that other stuff. It can be a pain in the butt. With me, you don't have to sign up to any of that. You do have to do a practice reading. I want to be able to tell people that I hire people who I've personally had a reading from. They're trusted people of mine, and things of that nature. So there is a hiring process to get on the line, but that's it. Once you do all that, then we start filling out paperwork, and that's it. You get a line, and that's yours. You can advertise that anywhere you want, however you want. No restrictions, which is another reason why when I set that line up, was because I have experience from the line that I'm on now, and as an astrologer, it really makes it hard to do readings effectively without being able to structure it how you want or set up appointments. And so I was like, you know what, I want to do something that had less restrictions. And so this way you don't have to deal with that monotony. It's complete freedom to sell on your website, to advertise rather on your website, and any way that you feel works for you. And let's see who we got here. Izuki. It's the shirt, the man. How you doing? She said, as you should, we are creating spaces for excellence. I be trying though. I do. I really wanted it for that purpose alone. So I will be creating something to advertise more for that and start doing that more. It is a 40-60 split. So the tarot readers, they get 60% and I get 40% of whatever it is that you make. I still think that's I don't even know how much that site is. I'm not going to lie. I would have to go back and look to see. But I don't think I was trying to compete either. I thought 40-60 was a great split. So I don't have any theory behind that. It just came to me. So I think that's all the updates that I have for A Way of Life today. Now I'm going to be getting into this Aries season energy. I really, really just wanted to talk a little bit more about it on from a different aspect than what I've been talking about it through the astrology. So add a little bit more to it, what you can see, what to expect, all that. So another aspect of Aries is that I love you too. Don't get me in here all emotional, girl. I love you more. So another aspect of this Aries energy that I don't think that we talk about enough um, is the spring cleaning. Especially now, we've had the Great Conjunction. We're entering the age of Aquarius. There's just so much new, really big, massive energy going on. Like we ended an entire cycle. And this time around, I felt like this Aries cleaning was important to talk about for clearing out old things that are no longer serving you, to make room for new things. And so because this is such a big energy, I wasn't just thinking about the typical spring cleaning. Like, I mean, in every area of your life. Friends, because we are in a whole bunch of air energy, and Aquarius is rules friendships. So your friends, people who are no longer serving your purpose. I can only even imagine that you see this coming up, especially now, because Aries is like, what Aries is known for is being very selfish and to themselves and not thinking about other people. And so you could be in that space and you're noticing that people might be taking it personally, or maybe a little jealousy with that Neptune energies. We are still very heavily coming out of that Pisces season. We're not quite clear from that. Besides, we have Neptune and Pisces for the next 6 years. So we're clearing that energy out too. That means revamping your friendships, your online, your social media. Who do you see on a consistent basis in your storylines? Are they people who feed you love, peace, upliftment? Are they giving you life? Need some of that life now. I'm trying to tell y'all something. Do you see other people doing positive things that you're doing, people that you possibly might want to connect with in the future at some point, even if you're not doing it now? Your social media network, business partnerships. So if you've already been in business for a long time and you're feeling like, okay, you're not aligned on the same purpose anymore, like you're not within the same mission, it's time to cut ties with that. Find somebody who's more on your path. What has changed for you? Where are you at? And where are you going to find the people who align with that mission, that purpose? Whatever reflection you want to see in this life is going to be really, really important. What other areas? Other entrepreneurs that you can partner with potentially, making sure that you're networking in that kind of way to find people, to connect with people on that level. What other areas can this be coming up in? Obviously your home, right? you don't want to do the typical spring cleaning. So making sure you're switching everything to kind of match with the seasons, right? Maybe even perhaps moving your room around if you feel like it's necessary. It might not be, but that definitely could be something that's coming up for some people, and will be very helpful to bring in the appropriate energy that is also matching with what it is you're trying to bring into your life, this new profound purpose. I feel like everybody could be feeling on some level in some area of their life, and purifying the energy. So I mean, I'm not big on the spirituality piece in that aspect, where you might use some sages, or I use it more for to clear space and energy when I do stuff like this. So it's a little bit different for me, but I know that there are people who actually use these techniques for like to cleanse your house, to cleanse your space, to cleanse your energy, circulation, opening up the windows, letting all the bad spirits out, or old spirits. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad spirits, to bring in new energy. I would even say changing the clothes from maybe winter to some spring stuff. I know I definitely did, as my sister mentioned. She got me this outfit. So we went shopping. We had a good time. I had a great time. By the way, short plug. If you're looking for somebody to help you buy some stuff, especially if you're in the Boston area. I mean, look at this shirt she got me. It's cute. I'm popping. Anyway, she's really good at picking clothes out and stuff like that. So you definitely want to make sure you're connected. I wouldn't say Prime is the right place for that, but you DM me for more information if you want help with that. And relationships. We are in Aries season. So Aries is the opposite of Aries is Libra. So this is a relationship aspect. Majorly, I can totally see new ideas, fresh ideas on people who have been in relationships for a long time. Things are coming up. Okay, how are we going to work differently now? This is a new time. What are we incorporating in our life? Why? What value is it bringing to us? Especially with that Taurus and Uranus energy is really forcing us to think differently and more innovatively on how we bring in money, success, and I want to say generational wealth, but I think it's even more than that. But what are you working on together? Because Aquarius rules humanitarian things, like what skills and gifts do you have from the universe, your purpose in life, that you're meant to give back to the world to make it a better place? So I see this as a lot of couples perhaps who have been together, coming together now to build things around what they can do to give back. What businesses and entrepreneurial ventures are you going to use to give back in a innovative, creative, new kind of way? I think that's actually like considered the sexy way to work together. You guys can look in each other's eyes and days and think about things, make it fun or whatever. But also like people who are meeting in new relationships. How is this playing out for you in your life right now? Where do you see this coming up? What changes are you being asked to make within your relationships? How are you making sure that you're incorporating balance in your relationships? And finding and connecting with the right people. So perhaps you meet somebody who is interested and on the same wavelength of finding out what your purpose is together and how can you put that out into the world to make it a better place. And I think this is coming up even more so stronger with the Aries new moon that's coming up this weekend. So we can see a lot of those themes being played out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel to catch that when it comes, when I go live. I'm also thinking about how to better get subscriptions for my YouTube page. So how to get the support to get subscriptions for the YouTube channel to help get monetized. It wasn't always a goal of mine, but like everything else in my life right now, like I don't want to work anymore. So I have to force myself to think differently about this. The problem with asking that is that you're doing it. If you are asking people, they're doing it because they like and appreciate you as a person, and not necessarily somebody who's actually interested in your services or what you have to say. And I've been talking about this since the beginning of this month, about how to be more productive around doing that type of thing. And I have a few ideas that I haven't quite taken any action on. But I was thinking about perhaps asking people who already have YouTube pages to come up with a group where we support each other. And I feel like it would be easier that way because we're already coming on here on a regular, consistent basis anyways. We'll see. But yeah, that was a small side note. That had nothing to do with the whole conversation. Oh, this is why I needed to come on here, because I got so many things on my brain that my brain's like, girl, you need to get with it and get up on here and talk about it. So anyway, another aspect is ego and competition. Now, I did talk about this in another video on my IG page, and just a small recap. There is no such thing as competition. Astrologically speaking, you can see this with your birth chart. So everybody has, there's like a calculator that I use to create everybody's birth chart. And what you need to create this birth chart and the calculator is your date of birth, time of birth, and location of birth. And what that does is create coordinates of where the planets were when you were born. And no one person has the same chart. Nobody. And that says a lot, right? Even if you was born on the same day and within the same time frame, you're still going to come out with a different viewpoint on how things can be done. And that's important, right? We need those different viewpoints if we're going to be working together to see from all different angles. And I think the other way that is best explained through astrology on how this is so different is that when twins are born, they're born on the same day within the same time frame, sometimes only 10 minutes within each other, and they are still very different people. They may do a lot of the same things, they may look alike, but they have their own purpose in this lifetime. And even if you have the same product, I think this comes up quite strongly, that you sell, it's not the same thing. You're not going to express this, sell this, have the same thoughts about this product as that other person. So I think I did this on my YouTube page, like when I first started back in 2019. I talked about how I used to work in the prison system, and I worked with Eustace. He was the owner of this nonprofit organization I did some consulting at. And what we did was come up with a creative way to explain to the men and women who were selling drugs or who were in for drugs on how to change their product. And the risk of selling that product on that corner and getting locked up that night. But if you're on the corner and you're there 20 hours a day and you're not making enough money to get you out of prison, it's a risk. And it's not worth it. And it's a clear sign that you need to come up with some more strategic ways on how to sell your product. And so we would teach these types of things and what that would look like for their specific business, and obviously change their product. And so I feel like in this way, Aries season is bringing this up because it's all about competition and the ego and how we can feel that kind of way with all these societal norms that we have going on, right? And so I see somebody in the chat, so I'm just checking to see if they're leaving me any messages. But in this way, I feel like, that could be coming up at this time, especially when we're thinking about what Age of Aquarius is all about, which is for us to come together, to work together, to make the world a better place, right? I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. I have to, y'all, because if I don't, I'll start talking about something way left field that ain't got nothing to do with what is going on here. So forgive me, but um, so how are we going to come together? And I just wanted to give another way to think about this Aries energy. So I say all that to say this is something that is holding us back. This is going to come up at this time. Dealing with it is going to be super crucial to your success. So rethinking your social and moral ethics, especially in this new way that Taurus and Uranus is asking us to change. So if every Black person, no, I'm going to start over. If every melanated person in this entire world stopped buying from these corporate companies, it would put them out of business. That's a very powerful statement. I'm not sure that just saying that without a pause really sets the stage for what it is I'm trying to say. If every melanated person stops buying from these corporate companies, it would put them out of business. We are the most popular. We are always coming up with creative things. And every time we do, it sells and it becomes mainstream. And every time we do that, we're giving away free content for them to take and resell it, which they do every single time. You know this. You see it too, right? On an even bigger scale, on a global scale, what does that message say? What's the point of that? It would definitely start a war. We're talking about Aries energy, the god of war. And you would see a different side of America that I don't think a lot of people are privy to because we don't see it. And when you don't see something, you don't register it as a threat or something that you need to acknowledge or do differently, right? This is the message that Saturn was trying to really give to us all year last year by breaking down all these structures so that we can see the different side and how we as the people really have the control. And what we give our energy to makes a huge difference on what becomes mainstream, what becomes more popular, and who runs the world. Think about that. That is a major statement. So how do you, the people, rebuild America? Because right now we're on our knees. Like, America's done. We're shut down. And even though things are moving slowly, they are moving slowly. And I bet that's putting a big burden on a lot of these companies and organizations, smaller businesses. But it's also given other people this idea that they can even start something like that, that the possibilities are there. So Saturn is like, take that idea and build a system and structure around it. Understand it better. Know who your enemy is. I just did the Mars and Aries video on my IG page. I strongly suggest you go back and reevaluate what it is I'm saying in there and how that's going to play out for you. And you don't have to have a business, right? But I do see this changing career-wise, and I talked about that too. So this can be playing out in many different facets. It depends on where you are in your healing process and where you are in your life in general with growth, right? But because I'm a business person, I'm going to come from it from a business perspective. So now that a Saturn has moved into Aquarius, which is the age that we've entered, we had the great awakening that was the opening portal to this new energy, this new thought, this new possibility, being able to grow on an exponential level. And now here we are in Aries season for the new year. This is the astrological new year, right? We're doing our spring cleaning, and we're going to really start to tap into, if you haven't already, I would assume that a lot of people have been experiencing this thought behind the scenes, within yourself. Like, damn, I really have the possibility to make some major changes in my life. What does that look like? And the moment you start working on all those things, I think what people are going to begin to see is back to what I was saying. The friends you got are not possibly the friends that are going to be the ones to help you on this journey. The social media connections, networking, process structure that you got, you might need to change a little bit to reflect the work that you want, right? The change that you're going through. Jesus. And how do you start to build that? Because Aquarius, the biggest message I think the age of Aquarius in general, not just this time, is going to bring to us is that, think about it. If you have to become the corporation, and build new structures around what that looks like, you can't do that by yourself. That's a lot of work. And I think that's one of the most things that I've heard people say for the readings that I've done over the last month is like, yeah, I got all these ideas and I want to make sure that I'm implementing everything. I definitely want to make sure that I'm bringing in more financial stability in my life. But that means doing a lot of little different things that I don't really have the time for, the manpower for. It's just me. And so we're really going to start we're going to be forced to change our mind on how we connect with other people. And so that's going to be the part that we need to heal, right? Because if we're still in this Sagittarius Gemini axis that we're in right now, so Sagittarius is moral things, ethical things, past experiences, not necessarily past, but just experiences alone, right? Experiences that you've learned from that made you who you are today. The truth and education. And in higher education specifically, because on the other end of that, then we have Gemini, which is your childhood education, which is probably has a lot to do with your ability to learn the things that you need to learn. It's been kept from you, right? So your childhood education, your community, your neighbors, your siblings, short distance travel. How are you putting these things together to build up the community? I think America as a whole on a global scale has leaned on other people to come in here to build America up. Meanwhile, the people who are already here are just like la-di-da. And that's a majority of melanated people, which is why I use them as an example. We are a big population of America. Yet we're paying and buying into everybody else but ourselves, right? So what does that look like? Small businesses coming together in such a way that takes care of the community, that teaches generations to come how to build things that we need to have to not depend on other cultures or other people to take care of us. And last, financial security, that we need to learn and understand better money habits. And I think those themes have been pretty strong since last year. Those 7 streams of income, savings, etc. And I've done plenty of videos on that. I've done postings on that, but not to get too much into it. I'll be on here forever. But just to give you an example of some of the things that I think we have a very small understanding of, yet we hold all the power. And now we're trying to gain that power through understanding ourselves and healing and learning and educating ourselves on how that's going to look moving forward. We have got to come together. We have got to do better in order for this to work. In order for you to look at it, I put it right here, create your reality. I did that intentionally because right now, I don't think we understand where we're at and the ability that we have to do that. Is it going to take a lot of work? Are we talking about years to come? Yep. Anything that we do right now is not going to, we're not going to see the benefits of that until what, 2024, right? Is that, yeah. So I don't even know, what is this? 2050. 2050. Okay, let's say that, because I think it's like 20 years for the age, whatever your children are right now. Then we pass the torch on to them, and all this foundation that we have been working on is for them to then take and build more off of that. And so when you start to think about that and break that down into smaller increments, we need better education, but we need people who look like us in the educational system. And I'm not talking about this educational system that's already here. I mean, create your own, right? We've already seen that's a possibility, right? And you get to change the content and the things that are being taught and what you're learning, from what aspects, and you get to now include the things that you now know that you'll learn. And like, I never learned these things, to even know right now in this time how to elevate the way that we have been given energetically, right? And so this is going to start to get really, really, really strong. And so creating those things to be able to take those steps to build that reality that you want to see, you can see where that can definitely start a war. And I think we will see a lot of this. Like, I think right now, I heard something about Minister Louis Farrakhan being, no, not that he was banned, because I think he's been banned a long time ago from social media, but people who follow him now, they're attacking that. If you follow him, or you're a believer in him in any kind, or supporter in any kind of way, that you're being banned from social media. And I'm using that as an example to say that we are in fact at war. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing everybody that he didn't exist, right? And I'm just, I totally just lost my space, I'm not gonna lie. But that brings me into my next point about this Aries energy that I don't think as astrologers we talk about on a bigger scale. I think it's super important to recognize the cycles that constantly repeat itself. So last year, June, I believe it was sometime in June, and I did a whole bunch of videos on this. You can go through all my YouTube pages to check and to look and see. But I talked about Aries getting ready to go through this huge transformation where it was going to be in the sign of Mars, which is his own planet, for 6 months, which is very rare and didn't happen. We had a lot of rarities last year. We had a lot of planets who went through some serious transformation, which I think reflected in our everyday life as we were on lockdown, reflecting. But this idea of this access of male and female in relationships, right? Aries, the opposite of Aries is Venus. Venus rules marriage, relationships, all relationships, partnerships, business partnerships, and Aries is the self. So how do you connect to the self? So this is what we was going through from June of last year all the way until the beginning of January. And it went through a few different cycles. So it was in its own sign for the first few weeks. And then it went from, I think about in September, it went retrograde. So it went back to rethink what all those things were that was coming up for us. And you have to remember, I'm talking about ego and competition here. So how is your ego and your thoughts, social norms about competition and affecting the way you connect with other people? And then after it went into retrograde, it was still there for another month and a half or so into January. So all throughout those big energies that I mentioned, the Great Conjunction, the new age that we entered into, age of Aquarius, all Aries was going through this. And then shortly after, Aries came out of its own sign. It went into Taurus, which was a more laid back sign. So the way we assertively or aggressively, right? These are the things Aries is known for, all the lower vibrational things. They never really focus on the higher vibration of Aries as being super aggressive. So we're rethinking that now. We're stopping and thinking before we just go off on somebody like we might have in the past. I've seen that reflected in myself. I don't know if anybody else has, but it's definitely showed up in my life in a major way. I've been missing all kinds of, yeah, melanated to black. That's right. That's right. So I just want to put the notes up here on the screen. Sorry, give me a minute, a sec. I'm almost done here, guys. What did she say? Buyblack.com is great. I order my laundry. Ooh, yep. I just heard about the laundry detergent and light bulbs from a black-owned company. Ooh, you gotta give me the light bulb information, please, because I got the laundry detergent too. And what did she say is here? Good evening, Sophie. How are you, my love? Oh, I love her. I'm so giddy. Okay. So, these are all the lower vibrational things that I think we've really transformed throughout that 6 periods and even the month and a half. So what is it? Well, let's say 7.5 months that we really got to rethink over this period of time about how we assert ourselves when we think about how we connect to other people. So, really challenging ourselves to get super creative. I love seeing you too. So really challenging ourselves to get creative and think more innovatively and outside of the box on how we're connecting with other people in a way that's going to help us uplift and evolve, right? And so we really, really have changed that mindset. So now we're really in, when I thought about this energy, I thought about it reminded me of the Art of War, right? I don't know if anybody's ever read that book or knows anything about that, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the actual act of war. However, it does not exclude being ready for war, right? Or even just understanding that you're in war, right? And to not ignore that, right? I'm sorry, I'm reading my notes again. So how do you fight something that you can't see? And when I thought about this, it just reminded me of all those videos that I did last year when Mars was going through this process. And if you go back, you'll remember I talked about the Karate Kid. Specifically, I used the one with Will Smith's son. You'll have to forgive me. I don't remember his name. I think Jaden Smith. I liked that one specifically because I think it gave a more clearer idea of what it means to live your life in the right way, why it's important to follow the rule of energetic law and love thy neighbor. It shows you how to love yourself, to know yourself, to understand yourself. I just started getting like all these thoughts about all these different posts that we post about, just being mindful, thoughtful, living your life in such a way that if anybody talked bad about you, they wouldn't believe it, right? That's what I think about when I think about this Mars and Aries kind of energy, or just Aries in general, right? To live your life in such a way where you're constantly challenging yourself to grow and evolve so that what comes into you can reflect your constant change. And not to say that if you're at a higher level, because I feel like when you start to talk like that, it's not always right? So if you are at a higher level in your life and you've evolved and you know that, but yet you're still attracting people who may or may not reflect where you're at, it's not an indication that you're not where you think you are. I don't think that's true. And I'm really saying this for myself because I'll be having these experiences and I'll be like, I thought I was over that lesson. Like, I know for sure I learned that lesson. And I pride myself on, like, if God puts me through something, If spirit puts me through something, I'm not interested in repeating that, in which is going to bring me back to whatever it was. I know for sure the only one way I got through that was through God, because if it was me and it was left up to me, I would have wanted to find a different way. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like this is kind of what this energy is kind of reflecting. So another way to think about Mars in this kind of way, collectively or calculatedly, is that a word? I'm pretty sure I just made up my own word. In a very calculated way is to meditate, eat better, again, treating people with respect, kind of those modalities. Even karate itself is a spiritual modality to me. And it teaches you these things, how to be aware without people knowing that you're aware, right? So how do you fight something that you can't see? You do what you need to do in your life to stay at the best that you can be, right? And so it includes all of those things. Surrounding yourself around positive people, only intaking positive knowledge and things that are going to help you grow. Teaching your children everything that you know, challenging yourself to learn new things, eating right. Okay, so I feel like I killed that. I can go on forever, but I feel like we don't have enough of that strategy and discipline in life to help us know that, not necessarily to be at war in that aggressive kind of energy, but to always be ready for it. You know, so I feel like when you do those things and you take control in your life in that kind of way, and you are constantly living in your purpose, you're constantly working on your goals, you inadvertently teach the people around you how to do such. You inadvertently teach the people around you how you want to be treated. You inadvertently attract the love and attention that you're looking for. And that is the fight. You know, that is how you fight back. It cultivates peace and understanding. It lets people know you're not a sucker, right? Without the aggression and the fighting, right? What most people, I don't know what people know about karate, but especially watching Bruce Lee, he's like probably one of my most favoriteest karate people. But it was never about fighting, but to know how to do it was the purpose behind it, to be ready so that you don't have to get ready. And don't laugh at me, guys, because y'all know that I get all crazy when I talk about my my Marvel movies. So I think I posted something like a week or so ago where I talked about Tony Stark. And I don't know why, but he was the closest energy to Aries that I just happened to be watching that week. And it really made me and had me reflecting on kind of, even if you do have your own business and you're a mogul, you get this great deal of money, your life is good, whatever. When you have or go through adversity, which will come, that's how the universe challenges you to do better, not necessarily that adversity to bring pain, but it's not happening to you, it's happening for you, right? But I thought about this. Tony Stark was all of that, right? I don't know how many people are familiar with Tony Stark, but he was an entrepreneur, self-made, model. He had everything. I mean, his father built an entire legacy for him. He barely had to do anything, but he had those skills and tools and knowledge from his father. And I think he like graduated at the top of his class, and he had everything he needed, but he went through some things that turned him into Iron Man, right? He got himself into a situation. And the thing that was crazy about it was that he was able to get himself out of that situation because he knew how to heal himself, right? He made machines. He had all this knowledge about these things. He knew, his life, his purpose. He did that unapologetically, even though that looks very Aries, right? If you think about it, that's very pompous, very arrogant, right? All those negative things that people talk about, that Aries energy that reflects. But what you cannot dispute is that he got himself into some trouble, i.e., this idea of war. But he was able to bounce back because he knew how to take care of himself. He was able to create a weapon that allowed him to get out of the situation that he was in. And because he had this intelligence and this knowledge about self, who he was and his purpose, and he lived within that, he was able to elevate from that, and he even evolved from that, and he made a whole bunch of different machines. And that's what he was. He was a mechanic. He built things. And so he was able to know how to take care of himself. Even within this process, he basically became a human robot. Is this not Age of Aquarius talk? I mean, I'm not thinking artificial at all, right? Even though we know that that's a thing, I still feel like that's the lower vibration of Aquarius energy. On a higher vibration, metaphorically, I think what it's saying is know your karate, know how to take care of yourself, stay in shape, don't have to get prepared. Work on your life in such a way where you are prepared if things come up. And inadvertently, it allows you to elevate in your life. And my last and final thought about all this is that you have to have your team to do that. And Tony Stark just so happened to be in a situation after all that had happened, that he brought in some new friends, which he didn't know at the time that he needed, which was the Avengers, right? Other superheroes that were out there who were coming together to create the world that they wanted, right? And so I think the storyline that best defined how I envisioned this time was Steve Rogers. And I don't know if you've seen the movie. That's kind of old. I had to go back to watch that. Don't judge me, guys. I watch this stuff all the time. I've probably seen the movie 1,000 times. It's embarrassing, but I can't help it. I'm a fan. But if you go back and watch that movie to see how Steve Rogers became Captain America, it was very interesting that how it connected this time around for me when I watched it, is that he wanted to go to war. He was a person who felt like he was a stand-up guy. This is who he was. But he was puny and small, and he did. I don't even think he made it into, whatever process you got to get qualified for to even become to be in the army, right? He didn't make it, but he was passionate about protecting the people. He was passionate about all the things it takes to be a great soldier. And this guy just so happened to be watching him, who was, I think actually it was Tony Stark's dad, who was in the process of building these new machines, these new superheroes. They were messing around with all these different things that were creating superhumans, if you will. And they wanted to use somebody to test this out to see what that would look like. Or if it would have, if humans could actually live through this process. And so this guy who was working with Tony Stark's dad on that project seen Steve Rogers, passionately in his interest in wanting to be in the army. And what it kind of made me think of is have your team together. Is you want to make sure that you're choosing people who are already who you are looking for. This is something that's coming up really, really strong for me. This is another reason why I'm having this conversation. Is like, I'm having a hard time connecting with people who are interested in the same things that I'm in, who understand that they need these certain things, but how to get them is greatly dependent on the people that you have in your life. And when you're not on the same page, you can ask anybody to do something for you. And they'll do it out of the kindness of their heart for you, which is great. But then there are all these other things that have to take place. But if they're not there and that's not their passion and that's not already what they want to do, then you can start to see how it causes conflict. So earlier today, I was talking about how I was strategically looking for something, a process to gain more followers on YouTube so I can get monetized. And it's been really, really hard of trying to come up with a strategic process to do that, because I don't have enough people in my circle who are even interested. I'm not talking about who like me or care about me. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about who want to even watch the content that I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And so I'm saying all that to say that I just felt like that movie was a great depiction of where everybody possibly could be at this time. If we're in this Aquarius energy where we're being called to build bigger groups of like-minded people on social media, because it rules the internet, your friends, your circle of friends, the people that you're connected to. And with that Gemini energy, your whatever networking and things that you're doing in your community, siblings and neighbors and all those other things, how are we coming together? And from that Aries and Libra aspects, again, how are you as a person connecting to all of these people that you want to see coming into your life? I don't have the answers. I didn't come on here to give anybody any answers. I'm just saying these are things that could be coming up. And I'd really love it on a different scale if we could come together in such a way that would allow us to think collectively on how to do that and start somewhere. Is it going to be uncomfortable? Sure, because we're not used to working together. We have not been taught that. It is not something that comes easily to us. Is it going to cause some conflict? Sure. We have to be strong enough to be able to get through that, to know what it is we have to do to get to this next step. Because if we just keep talking about it and having these conversations, doing these groups, having these lives, what's next? You know, there's more to that story now. What are you doing to complete the story, to complete the goal, to complete the project, to change your reality? You know, that's just how I see this energy playing out. And I actually think it's going to intensify over the next few weeks, because we got eclipse season coming in. So I think I've already mentioned a lot of that stuff. I will not keep you much longer. I appreciate you so much. I can't stress that enough. Please make sure that you follow us on all our social media. And be the change you want to see in your life. And with that being said, I just want to check to make sure I don't have any more messages from folks here, but I'm wrapping up, folks. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. I hope you find this information helpful. Peace.
A Way of Life is a coaching consultant company. We help people manage their career and business using astrology. Astrology is a holistic process that allows us to help people align with what they are passionate about. We provide the tools to build your personal development to live your best life. A Way of Life Coaching Consulting Company. For a reading or coaching, call Keisha Reed at 781-602-0986. That's 781-602-0986. Or check our website, www.awayoflife.net. That's www.awayoflife.net. A Way of Life is a coaching consultant company. Live your best life.